Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is so unbelievably bright in here today. Tomorrow, Storm Amy is coming. I don't know if we've ever had a Storm Amy before, but it's the very first storm of this season, right, between here and the rest of winter, whatever, right, stormy season, and it's called Storm Amy. I am so excited. So this is like the blinding ray of light we tend to get before the storm. So if I look like I'm squinting a little bit, there is a reasoning for that. I don't cover TV shows that often. I have done. This isn't going to be like I'm going to update every single little thing. I don't even know if this will even push out to the right audience, because this is primarily going to be something that I think like a lot of the UK girlies or guys are really going to be interested in watching. My audience, it's something insane. It's literally like 75% American audience, which I think is just absolutely crazy, but I can understand it because I cover a lot of like American TikTok drama. Anyway, beyond the point, I'm going to try and make this video like really easy to digest for people that are not watching the series. I feel like quite a few countries have their own variation of MAFS. The very first time you're actually meeting your spouse is when you are quite literally walking down that aisle. And then from there, you then go on to basically like try and continue this relationship, see where it goes. From what my understanding is, with the UK version, you're not actually legally married, but it's like basically like a fake marriage. Yeah, you go on your honeymoon, you come back, you have to live together, and every single week you have what's called like a dinner party where you get all the couples together. Loads of drama goes on. You have the commitment ceremony where you both have to vote if you want to stay or leave. But the experts, the love experts, they claim that yeah, they basically put people together based on what they both wanted and try and make it into a successful marriage. Do they match people up? Sometimes, and it actually does. I think it's a really good match. Yeah, they do, right? They do. But sometimes, more often than not, they will match people together and it's literally like, why have you just done that?
All right.
Oh, please don't.
When I saw you in that dress today, you did more than take my breath away. All my fears alleviate. I know we're gonna be okay. I know we'll have hard times, it's true, but I'll never ever give up on you.
Which can obviously lead to having couples that it's just not gonna work. You have someone who is saying that they want to be sober and that they're, you know, past the party life. Pairing them up with someone who like is still in it is obviously going to cause internal conflict, but then it makes for good TV. I do understand it. And this season is no different for it. One particular couple that I do want to pursue talking about for today's video, and that is Nelly and Steven. Now, Nelly and Steven, they both got together. Steven has a kid. Nelly doesn't have any kids. When they got married, Nelly, because she's Indian, Nelly came in, they had this kind of like semi-Indian wedding where she came in on a dolly with like the men carrying her. She had all of the get up. I just think every single time, I love it. I love all the jewelry and I love all the different colors. I'm obsessed with it. They really, really, really hit it off. Now, Nelly came on and she had said that, you know, she struggles with opening up. She has been in really bad relationships before where she's made to feel like lesser than. And she has real issue with it. And she just wants to meet someone that is like going to treat her right, that she can let all her guards down, etc., etc. And Steven, to be honest, when I first came across him, I was just thinking, I was like, I don't know, like, there doesn't really seem to be much about it. The odd thing is, right, I did not suspect anything strange out of Steven. I don't know why, but I didn't. But I tell you who did. My boyfriend. He was watching the wedding and he was just like, nah, I think he's up to no good. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I'm telling you, I think he's up to no good. And he was right. Their honeymoon was great. He was saying stuff like, you know, where have you been all of my life? Like, just like coming on so strong. And even through the very first commitment ceremony, I was kind of thinking, I was like, well, these two, I really ship them.
It's been absolutely spot on. I couldn't have asked for a better match. Where the hell have you been for 34 years of my life?
I don't know what to say.
The past couple of episodes, we've seen a different side of Steven, and my boyfriend's predictions were in fact true, okay? He spent so long trying to reassure Nelly that it's not going to be like any of her past relationships, and now he's out here admitting to his friends and admitting to other people that, you know, he has pulled away from her. and you know, he's not giving her as many kisses and and he has gone colder since the honeymoon.
I never like to show vulnerability because it makes me look weaker than when I've done that in the past. Then people take the piss. So I've decided to slow down on the intimacy side of things, like the less hugging, the kissing, which sounds bad.
But why have you kind of made that decision?
Because like she's 3 steps ahead of me. I don't like needless. It's good to feel wanted, right? Of course it is. Like everyone wants to feel wanted, but just let me breathe. I need my time apart.
Leading Nelly to drop her walls, like him even more, and then Steven is then just basically saying like, nah, this is too much. She's moving too quickly. Like, I swear to God. He actually got into an argument with Kay. We've got Kay and David, who are actually my favourite couple.
Also, I'm mortified that I'm calling him Kay because his actual name is Kia. I don't know why I thought it was Kay. It's Kia.
Because apparently Kay was like trying to big up Nelly because Nelly was feeling all secure and all upset because obviously like Steven's not paying her any attention anymore. So he was trying to big her up in front of Steven, and Steven was literally acting like a man-child and was just like, I'm not happy with the way that you were like bigging her up and all of this kind of stuff. Like, you're getting too involved with my relationship.
Last night we all went out for some drinks. Other people started picking up on it a little bit. Some of them were saying to Steven like, tell her how good she looks, and he didn't like that. I'm really sorry that it's upset him, but these are my friends. I need to lean on them. I need that reassurance.
Last night made me feel a little bit uneasy. Kia walked in with Nelly, asking me to compliment her. Absolutely no idea why Kia's got involved. I believe Nelly said something to the group about our relationship that needs to stop, because it'll just wind me up even more if more and more people get involved in stuff they shouldn't and don't need to be involved in.
I was just telling them that you have pulled back a little bit since the honeymoon and stuff. That was all. Kia was just trying to have my back more than anything and just try and make me feel a little bit good.
It feels like you're going behind my back and talking
I would
shit.
never.
No, but this is what I mean. In the moment, that's what it felt like.
I didn't ask them to have this conversation with you.
Other people don't need to know my shit. It's just going to blow up this situation worse than what it actually is. I can't be having people, I can't speak again, because you'll see a side of me which probably you won't like.
He was then turning around to his own wife and was saying, you know, you're going to see a different side of me. And I'm just like, this is red flag central. You guys have known each other for like 2 weeks and he's already saying, you know, like, you're going to see a different side to me. From my own personal experience, if a man says that to you, run in the opposite direction. It doesn't matter if they say it in 2 weeks, 1 year, whoever, like, run. And we then have a preview into tonight's episode. So today it's Thursday, so we have a preview, and the preview is basically Steven throwing his toys out the pram. It looks like a little fight is going on because allegedly he had slept with someone like 2 weeks prior to coming into the process, and I think we've actually found the girl who he was nearly in a relationship with. They were dating prior to him going into the process, and her name is Melissa, and she's made a 3-part series talking about he is like the biggest gaslighter known to mankind, and he should not ever be trusted. And I instantly believe her, not just because she shares screenshots, but also you start like piecing all of this together in the way that he's acting, and you realize that this man is really bad news.
Let's be honest, you haven't been the same since the honeymoon, and that's why I needed a bit more reassurance from you.
I've been standoffish because you've already created scenarios of when things are going to go wrong. And I'm thinking, oh shit, is she now going to look for things?
Now you may be thinking like, yeah, but no one goes onto this show looking for love. That don't matter. Okay, right, whatever the case may be, right, the rules are the rules. And I actually remember in my depths of depravity of like, I was single for quite a long time, and I was thinking like, I was just like, oh god, like I'm never going to be able to find a man. And I've always loved MAFS, and I was like almost contemplating it, and then it then said that you had to be away from your kids and your family and like your work for like 9 weeks, and I was like, I can't be away from my kids for 9 weeks. I have this great big form you've got to fill out, and then on this form it basically says like, you know, before you fill out you have to understand that you're going to be away for 9 weeks, and that also you can't be in any, you've got to be off dating apps, you cannot be in the talking phase of someone, you can't be dating them, you can't do any of that, you have to be single before you go into this process. Those are the rules. Obviously people break the rules all the time. He not only is breaking the rules, but he's also been treating not just Nelly really, really badly, but also Melissa, the girl who he was dating. And actually called, by the way, actually had a half an hour phone conversation whilst he was on honeymoon with Nelly on the show. Can I get some like little butterflies around here if you've made it this far? And also, if you are watching this and you have no idea who any of these people are, I really hope I've done an okay job of explaining it so far, because it gets pretty damn juicy. Because Melissa shares all the deets and receipts. She shares all of it. She definitely does.
The guy that I was seeing who absolutely vanished on me to go on MAFS this season.
So how they met was he slid into her DMs, and they were basically dating from like December to the end of February, like beginning of December, I don't know, give or take 3 months. He has kids. She's a single mum of 2, I think. She was always extremely cautious about who she was letting in, because she was previously in a really hostile, I think, domestic violence based relationship. Okay, she was extremely cautious about letting him in. I think her last relationship was like 15 months prior, kind of thing, so she was extremely cautious about it. But he basically like weaseled into her life, and just came on extremely strong, was saying, you know, like, I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you and all of this kind of stuff. And they would spend a lot of time together. They would only not see each other for like 3 days, and then they'd spend days with each other. And it was it felt like it was really going to progress onto a relationship. Would just like to add that he never met her kids, has never met her kids. So they would spend time together when neither of them had their kids on them.
Like, I genuinely had fell for this guy. May I add in all of this, this guy has told me that he loves me, that he saw a future with me. Just for a bit of context, this man has been... I don't really know the company that he went with or whatever, but something happened during his childhood and he started getting into acting. He obviously regretted, well, this is what I've been told from the horse's mouth. So he said that he regretted not pursuing it, and it's something that he now wishes to do because he hopes that it frees up some more time with his children and to be a father. And I really respected that at the time, because I genuinely didn't think it was going to be to go on a reality dating show or like a marriage show. Completely baffled me.
He planted this little seed in Melissa's head of saying, well, yeah, you know, I used to be an actor. I was gonna pursue an acting career. I don't know, all this spiel, which I don't even reckon is true. So already trying to plant the seed that he's gonna be getting into roles, he's going to be disappearing. And the sad thing is that even just before he vanished for like 6 weeks, they both celebrated Valentine's Day for each other. Melissa even went through all this effort of like creating Valentine's Day baskets for him and his kids, really putting in a lot of effort.
So at the time when he went missing, the week before it started getting a bit weird, he was saying that he had random drugs tests, and I was asking what for, and he said, for like this new job I'm starting in a few months, because he had been without a job since, he said, December to May. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to take your word for it, because at this point, why am I not going to trust a man who has spilled his whole life to me? So his replies started getting bad during some of the days, and he kept lying to me. He was like, I've got some meetings in London. And I said, well, what for? And he was like, for this new job I'm starting. And I thought, how many times do you have to go for different meetings? If you know you've already got a job secured, you're just waiting 3 months to start this job. And again, I didn't really question why he had to wait 3 months to start this job, because it's not my business and I'm just not one of those people.
He sent her a text message one morning saying, morning, you up and showered already? Long day ahead today, as I've got to drive up towards Peterborough. I won't be on my phone much today, so I thought I'd give you the heads up in advance. And then he completely vanishes. So she's already said that, you know, he would say things which didn't really make a lot of sense, like, oh yeah, like, I'm going for meetings in London. Just completely, he like turned his phone off, went completely radio silent. So Melissa's thought, because he had said to her, oh yeah, my brother knows about you, was to message his brother. Now, his brother was trying to act like he didn't know who she was, or maybe he genuinely didn't know, but either way, he did not want to give off any information as to where Steven was.
This is where it takes a turn. I, as a girl, was messaging my friends and I was like, where the hell is this man gone? I'm literally baffled. Like, he said he'd be here on the Monday, he said he'd come see me Wednesday, and I still hadn't heard from this man. So I had the genius idea. This man told me that his brother knew about me. So I thought, hang on, I'm going to message his brother. This is where it stumped me because he said that he knew about me. And at this point, he said, like, he acted like he didn't know me. Like, are you a friend of his? So I told him the fact that his brother may have got on him a different job and he may have had to go to Chicago. But his brother never responded to my last message. And I was just like, why is he not telling me where his brother is? Like, I was just completely confused.
Melissa wrote, on Sunday, he literally said he'd be seeing me today. Is this the last minute Chicago trip, or can you tell me more? Because he said he doesn't have a job since stepping down late last year. I promise I'm not a weird person. I can tell you anything, but he comes to mine a few times a week. Yeah, not only that, but they literally had like plans to meet up that very week. And then the next bit just gets weird, right? Basically, he comes crawling back after 6 weeks. I only imagine how hurt you would feel if someone had been in your life with such like rapid succession as well, which is another thing, almost love bombing. If not, that is love bombing behavior, just being like, I love you, I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you, like giving you things, giving you praise, buying you a missing puzzle piece, like being with you, planning the future. Like, that is love bombing, because he knew that he would be going on this show, because you sign up for this show. It's not like you sign up for it and then 2 weeks later you're off. You sign up for it months ahead. He knew about this, probably even when he slid into her DMs. She ends up sending text messages to her friends, just being like, what the hell? I can't believe this. She is obviously throwing punches.
He obviously messaged me to sit there and say, sorry, he's been filming. And I said, filming? For what? Love is Blind? Because at this point, I thought he must be on a dating show. The first message I sent was whilst he had completely vanished. I was like, well, can you let me know where I stand with you? Just give me the decency. Obviously, after telling me that he's fallen for me and that he loved me, obviously I wanted some, like, sort of explanation. So he said, I've been filming. I said, for Love is Blind, you lied to me about everything. He said, no, it's a TV drama on Netflix. That was a lie, wasn't it, hun? And I said, and I deserve to be treated like that. He said, it's based in Greece, but I've had production phone throughout. I've only got my phone this morning for a down day. I said, why the hell would you ask me to be exclusive with you and then vanish knowing you could have just been honest with me? Did I mean that little to you?
And he's claiming, you know, it's an action series, it's Netflix. He starts making up an elaborate story about the people who are allegedly in this cast of action movies. And he somehow like ties in Gavin and Stacey to this, and I'm not entirely sure how.
Our phone calls, I had quizzed him and I said, like, how's the show been? Obviously didn't know it was MAFS we were talking about, because he said, like, don't repeat this. And he was like, obviously it's a Netflix drama series, and the main actor is Sheridan Smith. He went on this big elaborate story as to how his female friend in Essex was on the Gavin and Stacey Christmas special working with Sheridan and knew that he wanted to get back into acting, so recommended him to be an extra.
All of us are like kept in rooms, and we have people monitoring phone usage, even though he's meant to be an extra. That's it, he was scouted as an extra from like a Gavin and Stacey person. I don't know. He's making up all of his lies to the point where he's saying like, yeah, I'm so many different characters. I have to try on so much prosthetic makeup. I've got all these pictures to show you, even though, like, do you not think, like, you don't have pictures to show? Whatever. Like, these people just live in the day. They live in the moment. They're not living in reality. It gets to a point where he actually rings her up because she is just a little bit like, He ends up ringing her off a burner phone.
This is where it kind of backtracked. He said, I found out that week when I went to London, I'd be filming from Wednesday. He went missing on Monday with his phone switched off, and he told me that he was in Peterborough. I said, so why didn't you just say I deserve some kind of honesty? He said, obviously I didn't mean to just ghost you or not message you, but they've had my phone from that day. I can't even have Insta on the production phone, just cast and crew members. Can't call out, so I've got a burner phone, which I'll now get your number and message you from there. I said, you must have known though, you obviously had your drugs test for that reason. He said, no, it was for this other job coming up. But again, I still don't know the truth to that situation to this day. I said, so why couldn't you have just said that then? This may happen. If I don't reply, that's why. He said, I know, I'm sorry. I said, did I mean that little to you? He said, of course not. So at this point, this man then calls me from a burner phone.
We spoke on the phone for literally like half an hour, and he just kept apologising, saying that he didn't want to go on the show. He thought about me every single day. He regretted doing it. But yeah, again, I still didn't know at this point that it was for MAFS. At this point, days had passed, and this person had called me on the 13th of April at 9:05 p.m. UK time. So we had a phone call, because I missed this call to start with, and then we had a phone call. He then texted me after we got off the phone saying, "Oh, how I've missed you and talking to you." I said, "Trust me, I feel that." He said, "Wish I hadn't agreed to do this poxy thing." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I wouldn't have been away from you." I said, "I know, but you knew this obviously when you agreed to it." He said, "But I didn't think it would be like a lockdown from the world kind of thing." I said, I guess.
That phone call would have happened, right, during the time that him and Nelly were on their honeymoon. During the period where Nelly and him are like all loved up and stuff, that is when he is ringing her. That's when he is in contact with Melissa, the whole thing. Anyway, so they end up, you know, talking this and that. And when he eventually gets back, they are like seeing each other again. Okay, he even meets Melissa's mum. So things are progressing.
He then got back and then continued seeing me. So then he came over and we discussed everything. And again, at this point, he's still lying to me and still telling me all about Sheridan Smith and the fact that obviously like all these details, and obviously said when he was filming, like he couldn't go on his phone. When he called me, he had to go and hide in the bathroom because out in the corridor of like the place they were staying, people were like outside their doors making sure like they weren't leaving their rooms. And I was like, that's really weird, because if you're just an extra, like surely that wouldn't happen. So I'm going to attach the screenshots to my girl saying that he had been over this night, and that I'd given him like a really, really hard time, and gave him like the cold shoulder basically, because I just wasn't impressed with the fact that he had like disappeared for 6 weeks. This is where I spoke to my friend about it. This is my other friend, Emily, and I told him how much he hurt me, and how much like I was upset basically, because I was. And he said it's me that he wants and nothing's changed. He's not been with anybody, and that he basically wanted to get back with me, like he wasn't going to lose me again, he said. We continued dating, continued seeing each other. Steven had actually met my mum at this point, but there was just an off feeling and I trusted my gut. We had a big argument about this whole situation of him going away to film, and I ended things. Ultimately, because I said, I know you're lying, and he was like, no. He was like, you're crazy. He was like, you've got trust issues, you need to trust me. And I said, look, I've been disrespected enough in the past. I'm trusting my own judgment and my gut with this one. Like, I'm sorry, but we're not doing this anymore.
She's getting like a weird feeling, right? Things are not right, and she's just noticing that there are lies, right? It's not making a lot of sense. So she actually ends up breaking up with him. Thank God. Even after asking him several times, are you on a dating show? Because she kind of thought like Love is Blind. No. I don't think she ever said that she guessed MAFS, even though her friend is an executive producer. She didn't pick up on it either. Melissa's obviously like moving on with her life, and then all of a sudden you get the promotional clips. And the promotional clips feature Steven. Melissa is going to go to her Instagram and be like, yo, I've got tea to spill on this man. Like, this man should not be on this show. Because it is true, like, regardless of the fact that he is literally hurting two women's feelings, regardless of the fact that you think the show is real or not, whoever, whatever, he's still upsetting feelings, right? He's still upsetting them. And he's being extremely gaslighty. Like, to turn around to Melissa and to gaslight her and say that she's crazy when she's not crazy. You were literally doing the thing that she said you were doing. Sometimes I hate men. I know women can do this as well, but I don't get into relationships with women. I get into relationships with men, and I've only ever had men like try to make me feel like I'm going crazy. Okay. Oh, bear this in mind. He actually went and he sold a story to Sun, like the Sun newspaper. It's a silly comment to make, really, isn't it? Especially when I'm happier with where I am in my life now, and I'd like to think you're the same with where you are, but wouldn't know what gain you'd even get from saying we've dated before. And she makes a very good point. It's just the fact you called me on a burner whilst clearly on your honeymoon abroad. It's the fact you're a liar. Why come back and sleep with me and date each other still after? Are you that much of a narcissist? Truth is always set free. I hope it was worth filming and lying and manipulating me. That's exactly it. But he's still trying to gaslight her into thinking like, it's all in your head, which is what he's doing to Nelly. If you see what's happening, like he's saying like, oh, she's needy, she's this, she's that, and then saying to her like, you know, like causing her to cry when she's not the one that's going crazy. It's actually him purposely doing these things, like gaslighting her to make her feel like she's going insane.
I'm doing this and I hate that I'm doing it. I hate that I'm doing it because I'm going to potentially throw something away. That is just my protection mechanism coming up so that I don't get blindsided, and this is why I'm single.
He's like I said, I'm in a much better and happier position. So sorry if I hurt you along the way. Never my intentions, but I'd rather just be happy with my life and where I'm currently at. But to name call me now because of something that I've done in the past isn't nice. I've apologized for it. I've moved on from it, and so have you. And she's like, some answers would be nice. Why see me and sleep with me after? This is so true. And the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure I saw Steven's TikTok account because I'm playing Pokemon on TikTok. I'm catching all of the cast members. Steven, I'm pretty damn sure, has like started doing like this self-help counselor something. He's done something. If I can find what he's doing, I'll insert the clip. He's all of a sudden started getting all like deep and like philosophical, and it's because he knows a shitstorm is coming. Also admitting to the fact that he didn't get what he wanted on MAFS, so sorry for spoiling everyone's parade. Him and Nell, I mean, to no one's surprise, probably are not going to work out. I did want to rekindle things, and the date nights and nights together was what I wanted and what I shouldn't have left before. But either way, I still would have had to have told you what I had just filmed, and that would have been even worse, and then it didn't fully work out as well with us. What he's doing is having his cake and eating it. What he wants is to have numerous cakes and to be eating all the cakes and to be feeling ultra sickly of just consuming all the different cakes. He doesn't have the gall to actually be honest with what is going on. He feels more comfortable making women feel like they're literally going clinically insane than to make himself feel uncomfortable for making another woman upset. Like if he told the woman in person this is what's going on, he is at risk of losing them and is also visibly seeing that woman getting really upset, which will make his feelings really upset. And these men, right, these men are not in touch with their emotions. They're not in touch with them, right? Stone cold hearted. They're not in touch with them. They bury them deep down because they're too scared to actually go through them. So they're not going to want to see a woman breaking down and getting all upset because you've strung her along and then said, psych, actually I'm leaving you to go on this dating show. They would much rather just do it and then not have to see the repercussions. Have like blinkers on. That's what they want. That's my analysis of the situation. And what makes it bad is that you can very clearly see after Melissa came out with this information, you can clearly see the difference between Steven, wedding day, honeymoon, to then now when he's pulling away. He's pulling away his love and affection because, you know, she's moving too quickly despite him pouring loads of love into her. Like, it's not fair. It's not fair at all. And I just hope, right, that tonight's episode, they go really hard on him. Can you imagine though, if Melissa's not actually the girl that they're talking about? They could be talking about someone else, in which case, I wonder who it is. Maybe we'll get like a confession from that girl as well, but I don't know. I really could not tell you.
So after this, we basically went back and forth, sending each other messages, basically where he just kind of said like he's in therapy now and that he's trying to change to be a better person. And I basically said like going to therapy isn't going to change the fact that you're a shit person.
But either way, I just thought I'd like bring all this information to you guys if you are following along with Steven and Nelly and just the MAFS in general. Obviously, I could go through a great big rundown, and I was considering literally just like writing down like my top couples and like notes and all of that, but we would be here for a little while. But if you would like another video where I talk more in depth about the other couples dynamics and who I'm rooting for and who I literally cannot stand, then let me know. But I just don't I didn't want to do it in this video because I'm well aware that a lot of people won't be watching Married at First Sight UK. So I didn't want to like bore everyone who had no idea. Just here for the tea, right? Just here for the tea. So that's what's going on. Yeah, let me know, who is everyone's favourite couples? I would absolutely love to know. Mine is Kay and David. I am obsessed. I love these two, and I'm pretty sure if you go onto their account, I'm pretty sure they are actually like still together. I've got 99.8% sure that they are still together, which if they are, that makes my heart sing. I love them too. I did really like Adam and I want to say Kate, but I don't think her name's Kate. Is that the Welsh farmer and the girl whose friends are like raging, like identify like raging feminists and like try and like catch them out? I'm not saying there's anything the matter with being a feminist, just saying that's like how they identify, and that's what most of that wedding was about. I was really rooting for them, but I think they're having problems. But they're my two favourites. They're my two favourites for sure. I'm really surprised that Joe and Maeve, I'm really surprised that Joe and Maeve have like managed to get over their wedding. I thought we were going to have like a really bad blow up, especially from their honeymoon, but they seem to have really pulled it back. Anyway, anyway, yes, they are my two favorites. Yeah, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.